This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a topic.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where we have finally revamped our goals. So now, for just $2 a month, you get access to That's Hell You're Walking Into, a podcast where I burn a command seal to force Ben to sit perfectly still and listen to me talk extensively about the lore of the Type Moon / Fate's Day Night universe. If you think that sounds appealing and you're a big dork like me who loves Fate Grand Order, then once again, head on over to patreon.com/thegorge. You also get cool things at the $5 a month tier, I guess is the term I should be using. So yeah, we appreciate everybody who's so far donated. It's been a success. I'm very pleased. So thanks to everybody who's donated, who's actually listening to me talk about Fate. We love you all, and if you want our eternal love and appreciation, you too can join that wonderful list. Thanks.
Cool. So Sarah, what are we talking about this week?
This week we're talking about how I can't seem to pre-order a PS5.
Not at all.
It's insane. Sony was like, I promise we're gonna give you guys a lot of heads up, and then they were like, psych, here's a bunch of retailers, the PS5s for pre-orders. Whoops, they're all sold out.
3 hours is a lot of time, right?
Yeah, 3 hours is plenty of heads up. And then I'm sitting here just like, I have money. I would like to purchase a PlayStation 5. I'm kidding. You saw the title card. We're talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
We'll probably talk about this more when we get to our monthly roundup, because this was the big deal. But yeah, I did manage to pre-order one, and I feel a little bit guilty. Because
I had it in my cart, and I balked, because for a second there, I was like, well, I'll get it from GameStop, and then I don't have to pre-order. I have to pay the full price. And that was my mistake. I should have just bit the bullet and paid the full price and been, secured a PS5. So that's on me.
I did the Target pre-order, but it was one of those, the airplane's going down, secure your mask first before securing someone else's. So I'm like, pre-order, oh crap, I have to reset my password, pre-order, then send the message to Sarah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I literally had it in my cart, and I could have hit buy, and then I just, for a second, I hesitated, and was like, well, maybe I'll wait till tomorrow and see if I can get a pre-order from GameStop. And by that time, it was already too late. I was the fool who couldn't pull the trigger against the monster coming to kill me. That was me. Or
rather, what you mean is that you reacted too slowly, almost like a samurai duel.
Well done. Yeah, well, I guess we should actually talk about the game that we're supposed to be talking about. We played Ghost of Tsushima, a pretty damn good little game.
I wouldn't even say it's a little game. It's a big game.
Okay, it's actually a huge game. A game I enjoyed. I liked it. I think I got a couple little sticky points. But overall, I really, really like Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, the biggest thing, of course, just to get it out of the way. It's the thing that everybody's talking about when it comes to this game. It's probably what's going to help this game stand up for a pretty long time. This game is gorgeous.
It's fucking jaw-dropping at certain points.
Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
You go through forests and open plains and, buildings, and there's landmarks. You get to the water, and you can see, boats in the horizon, and you're just fucking, wow.
Just an incredibly breathtaking rendition of the Japanese countryside. Of the steepness of its mountains, and the broad sprawling vistas of plains, and you're just like, wow, the atmosphere is also, anybody can view, of course there's games like Horizon and stuff. I think Horizon is a very beautiful game. Lots of games can do big, beautiful open worlds, but Tsushima has such an incredible grasp of tone and atmosphere as well, that it is genuinely breathtaking at times, where you just, I was barely 2 hours into the game at one point, and I got to the Golden Temple, and was just like, oh, fuck off. The game's just started and you're doing this. Like, you're already busting this out, like this beautiful temple in the middle of ginkgo trees, and so like it is genuinely golden from top to bottom, and it's immaculate. You see it and you're stunned the entire time.
It does a really good job. I think this and Horizon do a really good job of making things look realistic, but like picture perfect realistic, you know?
Sure, yeah,
like,
of course.
Just that slight little bit of like artistic touch to really like make the colors vibrant and like make everything like pop and stand out is so good.
Oh god, this game does it. I mean, like I said, I extremely enjoyed Horizon. I think I liked, just in terms of like the full package, I actually like Horizon more. But if we're just going off the aesthetics, this game is leaps and bounds. It's open world, not everything else, is as... I mean, it's like the most beautiful of the Sony open world games, which is a subgenre in and of itself of open world games. Just the use of like really striking colors and contrasting light. I mean, you have these gorgeous, just bright reds and vivid yellows, and you know, you put it against a blue sky and everything just pops so immaculately. There's pictures from a few when I first started playing the game from my Twitter of just like, I mean, and they were not staged, and they were staged in that they were designed, of course. They were designed by people with an eye for color and detail. But, I mean, they weren't staged as in they weren't like a set piece. It was just something you kind of stumble upon and take a step back and you're like, oh, this is really beautiful. You know? Mm-hmm. Everything seems so picturesque and painterly, and every time you turn the camera, you're seeing some, like, the light just kind of, like, throws across the landscape, and it's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Yeah, I can't believe how good this game looks. Like, it's uncanny.
Not so much in certain character animations.
Yeah, I mean...
Pretty much everybody who isn't Jean is, you know, it's fine. They spent a lot of time on Jean's very handsome face. And it is a very extremely handsome face. And everybody else didn't get quite as much as love.
No.
It's the Horizon Zero Dawn had the same problem where like Aloy is just like immaculate, and then like everybody else who isn't like Aloy and like Silence, it's a little like
a little default character model.
FF7 Remake had that problem too, like super hardcore. It actually probably had it the worst of all of them, but this game, they are very smart. That, like, minor quest givers, you never get close-ups of them, basically, ever. It's like, we're gonna use that wide camera angle that samurai movies love. What does this person look like? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, because there's another one of him, like, 10 feet away, so don't think about it too much.
Don't pay attention to it too much. You're not here for the people. You're here to do samurai battle, and, look at pretty nature. That's it. And admire, again, Jean Sakai's extremely handsome face. We do have to talk really briefly about how, apparently, like, Japanese fans, and this includes, like, a developer for the Yakuza games?
Yes!
Was like, it's very bold of them to not make the protagonist conventionally handsome. And I'm like, fucking what?
What? Are you sure about that?
What? He's so hot. It's so weird. He's I'm like, I guess all I can guess is that if this game was made I suppose like the way like Japanese game devs would make it, or maybe made to like Japanese protagonist standards. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. He would be younger. Like Jean would be younger. He would not be a man in his, like, obviously like his 30s.
And that's the funny thing is, like, you mentioned, like, it was the Yakuza devs who talked about this game, and for one thing, they first talked about, they're like, it's the same thing where, like, you read about, like, the, when, like, a Chinese branch of, like, entertainment found out about Kung Fu Panda,
yeah,
they were like, why the fuck didn't we think of that?
Why didn't we think of that first? I don't know.
It's that same thing where the Yakuza devs were like, you know, these guys nailed it better than, like, we ever could have. And it's like, you guys translated Kabukicho into a video game. Like, straight up Kabukicho.
Yeah, like, it's cool. Don't worry. They're just doing a different version of Japan.
Yeah,
like, Kabukicho is, like, is perfect as well in Yakuza games.
But and it's also funny because, like, you know, every Yakuza game after, like, 3 is all about how Kazuma Kiryu is, like, super old and busted.
He doesn't look like that at all.
Then he takes off his shirt and he has the chest of, like, a 30-year-old bodybuilder, and you're like, what?
He's just jacked to shit.
You're like, they're like, shut up, old man, and he's supposed to be 60, but he looks like he's 25.
I know. And I guess, like, I mean, a lot of people find Kiryu hot. I don't. I'm just kind of ambivalent towards Kiryu. But a lot of people also think Kiryu is hot. And I'm like, what do you mean Jin isn't hot? Jin is way hotter than Kiryu.
He is, like, one of the coolest looking, like, busted samurai dudes ever. I wish you could have just, like, kept the broken armor and, like, upgraded that.
Yeah.
Because, like, it looks cool. Because, like, if you get the color scheme, you can change Masako's family armor to the, like, fixed version of his classic armor. But, like, the busted armor looks so cool.
It looks very cool. It's very, like, heroic, kind of just scraping by kind of samurai. And yeah, it is definitely, a lot of the armor in this game is pretty cool. There's some that I'm, like, you know, ambivalent toward. Anything with, like, the giant square shoulder pads, it's just not for me. I am pleased. Usually in games like this, like, the default armor is never the coolest armor. But no, in this case, the Sakai armor actually is extremely dope looking. So
the Sakai armor, and then you get the ghost armor later, and it's just fucking, oh god, that's so cool. Shut up, that's so cool. You also get the Ronin armor, just like the robe and the straw hat, and it's just, oh, that's the good shit.
Oh, it's perfect. Just walk around being, like, fucking Samurai Champloo is the thing. Yeah, no, it's so good, and he's very cool. He's definitely he's definitely the most likable character of the main cast.
Okay, this is one
everybody else sucks so much.
This is one of the big points I wanted to talk about in this game.
Let's do it.
And because I went back and forth as to whether or not I liked this or not. Because on the one hand, like, it is objectively kind of shitty, but on the other hand, it's also kind of hilarious how everyone in this game sucks.
Everybody sucks so much.
Every single person is, like, a huge asshole, and, like, like, the scale goes from fun bastard to monster.
Yeah, we have, like, Yuna is kind of on the fun bastard side of the scale. Because, I mean, she's mostly just, you know, she's got a lot going on for her, and poor Taka. Oh, poor Taka.
Taka's, like, the only really genuinely nice person in here. Like,
and then and that should tell you exactly what happens to Taka.
But then it's like on the scale of, like, fun bastards, it's just Yuna and Kenji, and then, like, everyone else is just, like, fucking total garbage.
Monster. Total monster. We have Lady Masako Adachi, who I admit has been through a lot.
She's
for sure.
She's pretty cool, but it would also be a lot cooler if you stopped murdering people before we got information out of them.
I would really like it if you would stop losing your temper at like the drop of a hat and just stabbing the people I need to ask questions to death.
Jin's like, okay, this is like the only guy left who would know anything about who killed your family, so we really need him alive. And then he's like, I'm sorry I killed your family. And she's like, you killed my family. And then she cuts him down and Jin's like, come on.
You just see Jean just behind her, just like, what?
Okay, well, it turns out this guy also had a brother who might know something, so let's go find his brother now.
And please don't kill the brother, too. And then she, of course, kills the brother.
Like, every fucking, end of, this chapter is, him being like, okay, are you gonna be cool next time?
Can you please calm down? All of this culminating in her being like, I'm just gonna kill you! And it's like, no! Please calm down. We have, Sensei Ishikawa.
Who sucks.
Who sucks. Who just sucks and is just a bastard and an asshole.
He is the old master from Kill Bill, where it's he's the tough love kind of guy, and he's old and revered and stuff. But then you kind of look at it, and you're like, no, actually, he just is an asshole.
He's just an asshole who just kind of seems to enjoy abusing his students. And it's like, oh, it's actually a cool thing that L. Driver tore his heart out, and or Tomoe betrayed him, you know? It's like, no, actually that's cool. You go, girl. I'm glad you made it out. You deserve the world after putting up with this old man, this mean old man. And then we have the biggest asshole of them all, the most unlikablest of them, Shimura. Shimura sucks.
Oh my god, he is just the worst.
He just sucks.
Lord, you do fucking all this work to get him out in Act 1, and then you finally meet up with him, and then immediately it's like, oh, you suck, actually. He's like...
You're utterly unlikable in every way.
Oh, you know what? We forgot Norio's cool, actually.
Norio is cool. Norio definitely goes through some shit. A lot of some shit, actually. But Norio is a good boy, despite that.
Yeah.
But he's also, his quest line, I don't think is quite as long as everybody else, so he isn't as developed as the others. Bless his heart. So instead we just have Shimura, who's like...
I fucking love every single, in Act 1, where it's every cutscene with, what's the Khan's name, first name?
Khotun.
Khotun Khan and Lord Shimura. Every fucking cutscene is Khotun Khan going up and being like, hey, so Jin's totally murdering all my dudes, and he's overtaking all my bases. I'm losing super hard. And Shimura's like, no, Jin can't be this cool and big dicked. No, how could he be beating you so easily?
Jin isn't cool. My nephew is a huge nerd who's never done anything cool in his life. And then, meanwhile, Jean's just, off, swinging from, fucking trees, stabbing Mongols in the neck, being just a baller from start to finish. And it's what's going on? In Act 1, he's doing, the stoic thing where he's like, I'll never tell you anything. And you're like, okay, well, he's alright. He can be cool. And then you meet him, and you have a conversation with him for more than, a couple seconds. You're like, never mind, I hate this guy. Oh my god. He's just... It's constantly I am going to gleefully walk everybody I know into a meat grinder for honor. And it's like, bruh... What?
It's like we have to do this honorably. We have to meet our enemies face to face, and it's like, dude, you're losing.
Bro, you're losing super hard. Did you not Did you not see that part where they lit Masako's husband on fire without even thinking twice?
Remember when all the samurai but you and Jean died?
Yeah. It's like especially the beginning of the game where Kotan-kan just really blithely lights Lord Adachi on fire. And it's like, a wiser man at that moment would be like, oh, I should probably revise my tactics. These people are not interested in fighting like samurai. They're interested in fighting, an actual war, where bad shit happens and you have to do whatever you can to win because the other, your enemy is also going to do that. But no, this empty-brained asshole is like, we must be honorable. Also, I need you to throw your new girlfriend under the bus for me. Which is the exact moment I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, this guy's kind of an asshole, but Jean, really loves him and has clearly gone through some shit. And they do have some, genuinely good, father-son moments.
The fucking moment where he's like, after this battle, I'm going to formally adopt you. I already talked to the Shogun. I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, it's such a, I don't know why, it felt so good. You're like, yeah, because, Jin is so,
You could tell it's something both of them have really wanted for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's, Jin is a pretty stoic guy, but he's clearly very emotional about this. And he says, we'll ride together as Shimura and Sakai, and then when it's all over, we'll celebrate this as father and son. I think that's the line or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. And so I'm thinking, okay, this guy is an asshole, but he's kind of maybe he's kind of like everybody's, kind of asshole dad, where he can act like a jerk, but you still love him. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, that's fine. And then he's like, I need you to throw Yuna under the bus for me so that I can still say, you're an honorable samurai. And it's like, oh, never mind, fuck this guy. I changed my mind.
Actually, I am the ghost.
Actually, I am the ghost. Being the ghost is cool. This lady here saved my life after you literally ran us straight forward into an oncoming train without any other consideration. Actually, you did it 3 times, and you keep doing it.
You see how, you were in prison, and Yuna and I freed this 1/3 of the island?
Yeah. See how well that went by being the ghost? Anyway, I'm sticking with her now. I don't like you anymore. Did you spare him?
Yeah, I did.
I did too.
I did because it would hurt more. Because
yeah.
I did it because that's the ultimate sign that Jean has cast aside his samurai honor.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly it. He even says, I thought he was gonna have I thought he was gonna say something different. He says basically something I don't have honor anymore, and I was like, oh, he says, I don't have any honor anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, that means he's casting aside his samurai-ness because it doesn't matter. He doesn't, honor doesn't matter. It's more about, the people you know and the people you care about versus honor, And then he says, I don't have any honor anymore, but I still can't kill my family. I'm like, no, you've missed the point, bro. You tried. You're so close. Maybe next game. So, yeah, it's that's no, of course he's not going to do an honor killing because he doesn't do samurai honor anymore. He's the ghost. He's way cooler now. Yeah, it is really impressive how much there's that part at the end of the game where Shimura is like, you taught the people to rebel against their leaders. And I'm sitting here that sounds pretty sick to me, bro.
Yes.
That actually sounds cool. Yeah. There's that. He says at one point, you have to, and, Jin is still at after the end of Act 1, he's still kind of on the Lord Shimura is so cool train. Mm-hmm. So he tells Yuna, who I would like to restate, saved his life and has done a lot of shit for him at this point, is prove your worth to the Jito. And it's she shouldn't have to prove her worth. I think she's already significantly proven her worth, man.
Yeah, she doesn't really... She did that. That part's covered.
Yeah, she doesn't... I mean, why should she have to prove her worth to this guy anyways? Just because he's, like, famous? Just because he's, like, a noble? We don't like nobility on The Gorge. The Gorge is a firmly anti-nobility podcast. We don't like the ruling class. We hate them, actually. So, when Shimura is like, you taught them to hate the ruling class, I was like, can someone please start playing the theme of the Soviet Union again? The anthem of the Soviet Union again? Thank you. Yeah, no, fuck that guy. He's just and even still, just because Jean is like the most likable. I can't decide if I'm calling him Jean or Jin. They do both in the game. You know, he's a likable guy, so like his emotional turmoil about fighting his father figure made it impactful. You know? Mm-hmm. It's not really like it's not really anything to do with like the character of Shimura. It's more so about like our main character who's clearly going through a lot of shit, having to do this horrible thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I feel bad for you, buddy.
Yeah, I feel bad because you're in a situation where you have to hurt someone you care about. I don't care about this guy.
But I like you. I care about you. So like they did a good job on that. I think some of the writing around it is a little contrived. Like a lot of the whole like making Jean, whatever, like Batman at the end of the game feels a little contrived. You know, because it's like, no, you actually did save the whole island, man.
I'm not gonna lie, like, around Act 3, I was like, I am just Batman, aren't I? Like, this has turned into a samurai Batman game.
You are a samurai. You have cool black armor and, like, a scary mask. And you're, like, a rich guy whose parents are dead. And at that point in Act 3, you even have, like, a cool secret stronghold. At the temple, and it's like, oh yeah, this is just Batman.
You have an ability where you can strike fear into the hearts of your enemies, and like you do stealth takedowns and stuff. Like this is just Batman at this point.
You're a samurai Batman. I love that short. It's really good.
There's a lot. So one of the interesting things, I wrote this down for my notes about this, is that this is one of those rare open world games nowadays that don't give you a lot of choice as a player.
Right.
Like, in terms of, like, guiding the story. And, like, it's funny because, like, Melissa was watching me play this game, and she's like, so, like, if you didn't do all those stealth takedowns, like, would Lord Shimura, like, be nicer to you? And I was like, no, this isn't that kind of game. It's just, he's already mad at me.
Right.
Because you have to do one for the tutorial, right? You have to at least do one stealth takedown for that mission. And one is too many for Lord Shimura.
It's actually interesting. I don't have proof of it. I guess I could go back and watch old gameplay videos from E3 and stuff. I just have an itching feeling in the back of my head knowing this is Sucker Punch, the guys who did Infamous, among other games. I have this feeling in the back of my head that there were choices. That there used to be a choice system in the game. One, because there is a choice at the end of the game that's extremely out of place.
Yeah.
That just pops up out of nowhere. When, like, really, other than that, you've been doing, like, really minor dialogue choices. Like, nothing to really change, like, the course of the story. And then, like, this really blatant, super out-of-place choice at the end of the game pops up. And it's like, And I just have a feeling like they were doing that more so because it was a big thing in, like, the Infamous games. Because that game had a morality system, right? Like, you could have, like, bad and good powers, kind of like Mass Effect. And then I have a feeling they were like, wait a second, these systems suck. Nobody likes these things. Take them out. Nobody likes choice-based morality systems in video games. They're always lame. They're never done right. The only one that's ever done it right is the faction system in Fallout New Vegas. Even that's a little meh. But it works better because it's like people's perception of you instead of just a blatant...
A good evil bar.
Yeah, exactly, like Fallout 3. But, I mean, they still kind of kept it because, like, the weather gets worse if you do more and more ghost kills.
Which I think is pretty cool because, like, you'd roll up on, like, a Mongol outpost and, like, the weather would turn dark.
Mm-hmm.
Because that I noticed it only happens, like, when you're, like, in the middle of combat. Like, when I was riding around, like, I didn't really notice significant changes in the weather, but, like, I would roll up and it's like, oh, it's raining now.
Yeah, it's like you brought the storm, which is interesting because, I mean, I don't know, I mean, you know the story, but I don't know if people who are listening to this know the actual history. So the Mongols never actually invaded Japan. It's a pretty significant thing in their history, is that the Mongols tried twice to invade Japan. They failed both times. And the first time is because a massive storm wiped out their boats on the way to Japan and killed something like 20,000 people. And they were like, shit, never mind, we'll try later. And then that one failed too because of some other stuff. And then a storm happened again and killed them as well. And then they never tried again. But isn't that, it's kind of interesting, right? Like,
yeah.
The Mongols couldn't invade Japan in history because of a storm, and then as you start doing more ghost kills and stuff, you basically become the storm, right? Like... Yeah,
it's cool. Also, this is why the last mission of the game, they were waiting for a big storm to come.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because of history.
It's like a history thing, where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna use a storm to wipe out the Mongol boats. I see you, Sucker Punch. I see you. I, too, have watched the history of Japan on YouTube.com. The sun is a deadly laser. But, like, yeah, I think there was once a morality system in this game, and they went, no, this is bad. And so instead, you just bring storms and shit with you, no matter where you go.
But I think it's interesting because, like, what it does instead is that instead of it being like Lord Shimura is like, oh, I'm really proud of you for sticking to your honor code, Gene, or I hate you for being a cool ninja and murdering all the Mongols before I got a chance to duel them one by one.
Just an angry Japanese man standing out in the rain. He's been there for 3 days. And he's like, I'll fight each one of you individually. And they're just humoring him.
Yeah.
Because they're waiting for him to get tired.
But instead of that, what you are given is that both methods of fighting enemies are equally valid. And it's really rare, I think, to see a game like take this kind of approach and actually pull it off, because, like, I don't know, we've talked about Dishonored and stuff, like, we haven't really done an episode, we talked about Deus Ex before,
sure,
where it's like you can either use these 20 guns and super cool powers and murder everyone in your sight with awesome cool takedowns and arm blades, or you can use this crossbow and this dart gun. And you can sneak around and you can zip around, but if you use the big dick murder weapons, then you get the bad ending.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's always like, no, I want to go loud. Being loud is cool.
Like, I would like to go loud, but also not hurt, like, murder everyone. Can we fill this machine gun with beanbags?
Can Adam Jensen's, like, exploding bodysuit, like, I don't know, explode out sleep powder or something instead?
Like, can it be, like, bouncy balls instead of, like, ballistics?
Yeah, please. That shit would be cool.
But in this one, because your only choice is to murder...
Right.
Gene solves all of his problems by killing everyone in the room, no matter what the problem is.
Frankly, I respect him for it. He just has an incredible repertoire of various ways with which to do murder. Go ahead.
Like, every side quest or, like, every, like, minor quest comes up, and it's like, hey, can you go and find, like, my daughter? She's been missing for 3 days. And it's like, well, I'm gonna go kill whatever camp took her.
I'm gonna go solve all of my problems with some murder. Or it's like, hey, this is a problem. There's ghosts in the forest. No, there's not. There's just murderers.
I'm gonna make some ghosts. Okay, side note before I get back to my original point about character choice, but, like, sure. I fucking love every single side quest and, like, thing where it's like, by the way, the legend of this guy was super cool, and he had this awesome bow that he could use to shoot down an entire fleet. And then, like, immediately after hearing this cool story, it's like, that's bullshit, but I'm gonna go investigate this anyway.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Ghosts aren't real, but I'm gonna go into this haunted forest anyway.
I'm gonna go check it out anyway.
Just once I wanted, like, to be like, what the fuck was that? And then it's never
I want it to be, like, a real fucking... I mean, like, there's that whole... That DLC isn't out yet, right?
The DLC is like...
co-op
is
DLC?
like, yeah, it's not out yet, but, like, that's gonna be, like, fucking... Like,
The best.
Yeah, for one thing, it's gonna be super cool, but it's also just, like justification, like, vindication. Like, look at all this magic bullshit that's happening.
Look at all these ghosts and shit. I just like this implication instead that it's like, well, Jin solves all of his problems with murder. All of the ghosts are like, fuck no, I'm not going out there. He's gonna murder me again.
I don't know what happens when a ghost dies.
I don't. There's like spirits and monsters and shit just running around Japan, and they're all seeing like Jin Sakai just like murdering the living shit out of some Mongols, and they're like, I'm not coming out of this well. Hell no. Let the Mongols deal with him. He's scary.
But no, like the idea is that, like, because you are the coolest fucking samurai to walk the face of Japan, and
Correct.
also, like, an unstoppable, silent, murdering ghost machine, like, it doesn't matter if you get caught. You can still kill everyone super easy.
Yeah, there's no such thing as the Yasi Croshaw patented cock-up cascade that happens in other stealth games where you make one mistake and everything goes horribly wrong at every turn. In this game, it's like, I fucked up. I mean, I was already killing all of you anyways, so I guess I'm just gonna kill all of you louder now.
It's just the fucking Hot Fuzz gif of him loading the shotgun. Shame.
Shame.
It's just Jin pulling out his sticky bombs like shame.
Oh, damn. All right, then. Guess I have to kill all of you.
I mean, it gives you a thing where it's like, you can do the cool stealth thing, and sneak in through this crack in the fence and, like, take down every guy. Or you can just fucking strut up and say, fight me. And we put a mechanic in where you say, fight me, and a bunch of guys run out and you can cut them down one by one.
And it owns so hard.
And it's the coolest thing in the world.
And in that way, I understand, like, Lord Shimura's, like, desire to fight every Mongol in Japan individually. Because it is cool. I'm not denying that. It is extremely cool to walk up to a camp of Mongols and be like, which one of you will face me? And then just own the shit out of 3 of them in a row.
And then...
like... yeah, that's cool.
I love the dueling, that mechanic, because for one thing, yeah, it's a good way to just eliminate 3 guys, and if you get lucky, you might just fucking get the general and take him out immediately.
Yeah, I know, make your life a lot easier.
The other thing is that the window is like 3 minutes long to like
so
actually
generous.
act.
Yeah, no, parry and like counters and shit in this game are incredibly generous. Like, this ain't no Bloodborne, okay?
Yeah, it's just
Don't worry about it.
You stand there, you hold down triangle, and then you're waiting, and the guy's like, rah! And he, like, lunges a little bit, and he's like, I faked you out. But then his actual, like, motion is he like, rears back with both arms, and he, like, screams as he charges up to you from, like, 15 feet away, and like, oh, dude, you're dead.
Okay. Okay, bye. And then all of his friends come charging in too, and because you are like the biggest dick samurai in all of Japan, you still got the sword up, and these dudes are like, nah, I can take him.
No, I will get lucky this time.
It'll be me. There's so many Mongols in this game that are like that, where it's like, after a certain point, you are the incarnation of death walking the island of Tsushima. You are unstoppable.
And that's one of the best late game mechanics in this whole thing, is that when you get the ghost stance,
yes,
and when you start just killing enemies, sometimes they'll just run.
Oh, and I mean, that's fair, but you're still dead. I too would run, but you're all gonna die. Like,
and see, and what's cool is the minute they start fleeing, they're counted as defeated, and like you don't like I've cleared out a camp because the last guy just booked it.
That actually is good. I actually do wish more open world games, because like, you know, we joke a lot about that with like Fallout 4, where like some raider with a pipe pistol is like, I can take him, and you're walking around the wasteland level, I don't know, 865 because you've played the game for 1700 hours, and you probably have like an aura around you, like Kenshiro. And this guy is like, no, I got it.
No, I can do it this time. Me.
It'll be me to slay the dragon. No,
I'll pry the power armor off with this crowbar.
No, it won't.
And then you pull off your fully automatic mini nuke launcher.
And just turn them into paste, and you're fine because you are level 869, and there's nothing they can do to stop you. It's like, no, there should be more games where the enemy can smell how many levels you have. Excuse me, dogs. Do you have to play so much as I record? Boo-boo.
That sounded rough. Oh my god. It's
not. He's fine. Don't worry. He's just annoyed by one of my dogs. Must you do this?
You know what?
Anyways.
That also reminds me, this is another minor thing that this game does really well that I appreciate. And it's that I don't feel bad killing the dogs because they're just these weird black amorphous blobs.
Yeah, no, they don't make like dog sounds, and they don't really like look like dogs. But you know what they do kill? And it's probably the most tragic death in the whole game?
Your fucking horse.
How dare you kill my Nobu?
I was heartbroken.
Devastated. Easily the saddest death in the game. And there are like people who die in this game.
Fucking Taka's death happens, and then it's like, but your horse though, man, your fucking horse, because the game tricks you. When you first get your horse, it's like, this will be the horse that sticks with you the whole game. Is this what you want?
Yes, they let you name it. You can pick its color. He has like 800 individual lines for each horse's name, and he says all kinds of like nice stuff. He's like, "You're the best horse, Nobu."
You fucking you clear out a camp or like a farm, and like there's like a little cutscene of like the horse nudging Jean, or like they're sleeping.
Yeah, you just sleep out in the middle of a field with your cool horse. And it's like, oh man, that's like the real samurai shit, you know? And Jin talks about, like, he's like, one day when this is all over, we're gonna go for a nice country ride. And I'm like, aw, that's not, oh no!
Like,
no!
It becomes like a checkpoint on the map, and it's like friend's gravesite. And I'm like, fuck you, game. You can't just fucking kill my horse and then give me this, like, weedily, like, dumb horse later.
Yeah, it's not even a cool horse. It's not a samurai horse. It's just a regular cuck horse.
The one that Yuna, like, gives you temporarily is like, yeah, we have to get horses, so here's this one. It's like this fucking, like, patchy, skinny horse that sucks.
And I'm like, who are you? You're not my Nobu. Give me back my Nobu. How dare you do this to me? I had a beautiful, just, pristine white samurai horse, and I named it Nobu because I've got fate Grand Order brainworms, and I love that horse. And I was gonna take that horse on a vacation and I don't know, go to Disney World with it afterwards. And then they killed it.
Because they're monsters.
Because they're honestly, honest to God, the fact that in all of, like, when Jean and Shimura are having their moment at the end of the game, it's like, why did you turn on me?
It's like, Like,
you killed my horse,
You
man.
shot my horse.
Your guards shot my horse twice in the ass. How dare you? This means war. I'd go to war for all of Japan for that horse. Like, no. It's like killing the dog, but worse. Because, like, you need that thing.
Yeah, you took away my fast travel.
You took away my fast travel. You took away my person for Jin to talk to, have his, because, like, every open world Sony game is just derivative of The Witcher. So it'd be like if you killed Roach.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
You're not allowed.
That's sacrilege. How dare... I'm just upset about this horse, man. Like, I know a lot of people weren't terribly moved by Taka's death. I was mostly just like, oh god, that's so rough. You know?
Yeah.
But I still took the horse's death way harder than Taka's. Man. Don't... You did so good. I didn't feel bad about killing the dogs in this game because they didn't really, like, remind me of actual dogs. So I thought we were doing good. You know, we had finally solved all of my problems with modern game design. And then they killed my horse.
It's like, you can't hurt the horse in the game. Like, nothing can actually... It just runs, and, like, it always calls when you whistle for it. And...
Yeah, that horse will come to me in the most absurd of places if I whistle for it.
That horse will come to me if it's like, I can't cross this river with the horse. Okay, I'm going to get off the horse, cross the river, and I'm going to call the horse, and the horse will just be there.
And the horse is just like, no, bro, you were too heavy, that's all. Okay. And that horse will go anywhere with you.
When you were on the beach and only saw hoofprints, I was carrying
you. So good. But yeah, it's just like...
This game is so good because, like I tried at the very beginning. I was like, okay, yeah, I want to be a cool samurai guy. They give me this stealth stuff. Like, this is like the first stealth game I can play where it's like, oh, I actually want to do the real combat.
Right.
You know, because it's like, yeah, you're a samurai. You shouldn't be stabbing people in the back. You should be, facing them head on and fighting them in a duel with your cool sword. And
right.
Here's all these skills you could unlock for that.
And, it's super cool, and you have multiple stances, although I never really use any of those stances except for the base one and the river one to break shields, but it's fine.
Oh, I would switch all the time. Like, I'd switch, like, whatever I was facing. I automatically would switch. I was better at switching stances than I was style switching in Devil May Cry.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Because I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, Devil May Cry, I'm like, trickster and sword master. I don't know how to block. And guns are dumb.
Who uses a gun when you have ice nunchucks?
But in Ghost, I'm like, this guy's got a big spear. I'm gonna switch to the spear one, and I'm just gonna kick him in the dick. I win.
Yay! It was that easy.
But then it's like, Lord Shimura's like, no, stop being so cool and winning the war for me. We have to lose. And I'm like,
don't you know we need to die like everybody else who died on the beach?
And it's like, as I got the reputation as the ghost, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll start doing more stealth stuff, and I'll start, focusing on that first and foremost.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like, a lot of your stealth kills, just the one where he really just, like, runs up on him and then shanks him in the neck and then, like, pulls him down to the ground. It's like, yeah!
That's one of the cooler things. Because, like, one of the skills you get is, like, faster takedowns, right? Like, as you level it up. It goes from, like, these visceral kills. Mm-hmm. Like, as far as this game goes, it's rated, I think it's rated M, but it's, like, it's not necessarily, like...
a hard
gory.
M?
Yeah, but, like, those first few stealth kills are, like, yeah, Jin stabs a guy in the neck and the knife, like, gets kind of stuck.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what he's doing, and so they're kind of, like, gurgling, and it's horrible.
Yeah, and this is dishonorable. This is against the code that Jin has, been raised his whole life in.
Sure.
But then you level it up and it gets easier and they get quicker until he's just like backhand, like side of the neck, and they go down.
Yeah, absolutely. he gets more used to it, and it's like, oh, that's cool. You're kind of telling like a character story through the progression of through skills, which is neat. You know, it's always a fun detail to take in.
And then you get Ghost Stance, and then one of the things you unlock is, hey, what if you just drop down and cut this guy's head off in front of his buddies?
Oh God, the best instance of that is why am I suddenly forgetting the name of the town that Yuna is from? I had it in my head.
Oh God, what was it?
Yeah. Ben, stall. Real fast. Yuna, Tsushima. Why am I forgetting this? I had it in my head. She's from Yarikawa. There we go.
Yes.
The bit where you basically do the Seven Samurai thing, where you teach the people of Yarikawa to fight for themselves.
God, that scene is so fucking cool. That mission is so goddamn baller.
The end of that, where you cut the guy's fucking head off, and just like starts advancing on these Mongols who are literally shitting themselves in terror and like backing away from you, and Jin's like, show no mercy, and then the whole town just like surges forward, and you're like, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. You just feel like it's so badass. That whole moment. I know I'm sure like people listening to this are like, Sarah, you have a monkey brain, which
we do.
Maybe.
Listen, if you've listened to this podcast, you know how much we love we know how much we love the four elements. Raw Kino Goat swag.
It's true. And that scene is all four of them. That in that moment, Jin is like the avatar of the Chuny elements, right? He's bending all four of them. It's Raw, it's Kino, it's Goat, and it's swag.
It's just that scene from the series finale where Aang's got all four elements around him, but it's Jin.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. So, like, yeah, I get it. Like, the point of that scene is probably be like, oh man, he's really letting this get to him, and he's kind of turning into a bit of a monster. But you know what I saw? The coolest shit in the world. I saw a bunch of people who had been, like, victimized by basically bullies invading their island, and it was like, yeah, you should kick their asses. You should absolutely beat the living hell out of all of them, and it'll be the coolest thing in the universe. And I was right.
Once you get Ghost Stance, the game becomes getting to Ghost Stance as quickly as possible.
That's exactly it.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's necessarily practical. It's just I became better at the game because I was incentivized to unlock Ghost Stance as much as often, and just click both triggers and the scene goes black and white and I can cut a dude's arm off.
I can just start owning the shit out of everybody to my heart's content because I am an unstoppable killing machine at this point. Like, yeah, that's what I want. Like, absolutely give me more of that. Fuck your cycle of violence. Killing is bad, but we're gonna make you do it.
The cycle of violence ends when there's no one left for me to kill.
The cycle of violence is me getting good at this game so I can use Ghost Stance faster. It's a cycle, you see.
Lord Shimura is like, it is not honorable to perpetuate this violence and brutality, and Jin's like, I won. See how there's no more Mongols?
You know, they're not burning down towns and leaving, like, corpses tied to stakes in the middle of, like, wrecked villages. The first time I came across this, like, it wasn't in, like, a set piece. I was just exploring the first area. I was just kind of, like, minding my own business and be like, oh, that's a town that's been sacked by Mongols. That's kind of fucked up. And I got closer and I was like, hold on, are those bodies tied to stakes that have been burned? Oh, fuck these guys. Like,
see, that's also one of, like, the really cool touches in this game that I think, like, really, like, drive home the setting and, like, the mentality is, like, you can just find corpses, like, around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's so, like, it's one of those things where it's, like, it's not even, like you said, it's not like a set piece or anything, it's just, like, part of the environment. Like, the Mongols are sacking this place so hard that we don't even have the luxury of picking up all the bodies.
Yeah, no, they're just going through and destroying everything. They're literally leaving nobody alive to clean up after them. So it's just like, oh, okay, you get a pretty good scope of the brutality. And then Lord Shimura is like, no, you must, fight all of them individually in the rain, like we keep saying. And I was like, I don't feel like doing that. I actually feel like winning, That's the thing. That's like the most frustrating, is that it's like, I don't think Jin ever just like grabs him by the shoulders and is like, you are losing this war, old man. Like,
yeah, he never
just shake him.
He never really like directly confronts him and says like, yeah, I did all of these like dishonorable things and saved you.
Yeah, I think he does it. He does it like once after you poison the whole the whole war party, basically. But it's like, no, you need to say it a few more times. You really need to get it through his thick skull. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, of course, Shimura is a blood-sucking parasite noble, a ruling class who just sees the lower class as people who are disposable, who can just kind of be thrown into the war machine, and their, blood and bones used as lubricant in this grinder to make sure he maintains his control of the island. Like
I don't.
He doesn't see them. He doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter if Jin had told him more often. Now that I think about it, because he still just sees this as like worthwhile sacrifices.
Yeah, I don't.
And it's like, no, you don't have to make these sacrifices.
I don't even necessarily think like he's like greedy and uncaring about like. No,
it's that more old-fashioned thing.
Yeah, it's that moral thing. It's that fucking, those fucking memes about how like, those boomer memes about like, 18-year-olds back then, and it's a fucking D-Day picture, and then like teens now, and it's like people who are not being murdered for oil.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
It's that. It's, also, it's fucking, let's tie it to another thing we're both super hyped about right now. It's that fucking scene in Rise, where Splinter shreds the ancient scrolls because they're telling him that his kids need to die.
His kids will make wonderful martyrs for the cause, and it's like, well, no, we don't actually have to make martyrs. It's very much like, okay, stick with me here. Up until like the 1600s or something, the common idea was like divine right of royalty, that all of their power came from God, and because of that you couldn't charge a monarch with a crime, because everything they did was divine. They didn't, the concept of like a monarch committing a crime was literally unspeakable, because everything they did was a direct edict from God himself. So you'd basically be saying God was wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that same kind of fucked up mindset going on here, where it's not even necessarily greed. It's just that, like, Shimura is a samurai lord. He's the Chito of the island. And these people are like his people. Good and bad. They are things for him to put to use to continue, like, the hierarchy of the island. And like, that's part of the reason why he's so pissed off at Jin, is it's like, well, you've disrupted this fragile hierarchy. You've taught people to, oh my god, you've taught people to doubt their leaders. Like, what are you gonna do? And Jin's like, well, they're not gonna turn on me because I'm not asking them to walk across a bridge strapped to shit with explosives.
Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. And then, the bridge and the poisoning thing is so great, because, like, you get the idea that you're kind of supposed to be like, oh my god, Jin took it so far with that. But It's also like, Shimura was just gonna, like, literally march those guys to their death. Like,
and literally use them as meat shields.
Unflinching, walk across this funnel where you will undoubtedly be murdered. Like, no question about it.
You will be extremely exploded into tiny chunky bits, but I can walk across those chunky bits and kill Khotun Khan. Like, no. Dude, Like, what part of Koten-kan telling you, like, hey, I studied how samurai fight, so I know how to, like, fight against you in your honor system. What's so hard about that to understand, dude?
Okay, you know what? We are wrong. There are more good characters, because Koten-kan is one of the fucking best villains, like, ever.
Koten-kan is good.
He's
we haven't even talked about Ryuzo. We'll get to him.
Yeah, but fucking, like, Koten-kan is so goddamn, like, charismatic.
Yeah, he has a great voice actor because it just kind of makes him sound like a friend, but like your friend who you learn, I don't know, kills cats in his spare time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just he's just so, like, self-assured and very cool, and he never really has, like, the stereotypical villain screaming "stop them" moment, you know? And he's just, like, cool the whole time. And I don't mean cool, I mean, like, he does indeed, you know, sack and pillage an entire island to his heart's content, but he has charisma, like you said.
Yeah. I just love that line where he's like, I studied your language, and I read about your samurai honor, so that I know how to fight against it. And he's just like, oh, that's so good.
It's good because it does kind of set him up. I wish there was more interaction between him and Jin. We only get a handful of scenes because, like, he is set up to be like, hey, yeah, that's exactly what Jin is doing, just in the opposite direction. You know, he's learning the way the Mongols work so that he can turn those tactics against them. So they're kind of set up to be like parallels. And it's like, I had wished we had a few more, like, scenes of those two conversing in a meaningful way before he, you know, killed Taka, which is like the bridge of no return where those two can't have, like, a civil conversation.
Oh, yeah,
of course. Yeah. After that point, it's like, oh, never mind. You can't actually have a conversation with this man. But, like, yeah, I did like that positioning of him being, like, you know, in direct opposition to Jin, and Jin being like, well, no, I'm gonna do what he's doing because it sure as shit seems to be working out for him. He's taking over this whole fucking island. So, yeah. And then that could lead us directly into Ryuzo, who is great until he sucks.
Continuing the trend of characters who are the goddamn worst.
Everybody's the goddamn worst. He has all these great interactions with Jin, and you're like, this is awesome. And, like, I got, you know, when he's betrayed Jin at the end of Act 1 and he doesn't show up, and then he, like, really shows up. And it's like, oh, okay, well, he's betrayed Jin. That happens. That's one of those stories. I've played a JRPG. I know how these go. And then he burns that guy, and I literally said out loud, oh, Ryuzo, you stupid asshole.
Because, like, that's the moment where it's like, okay, well, actually, now you can't come back from this. Like,
you don't get a redemption arc after that.
Like
I did like that voice acting in that scene, though. He's really good.
Yeah, like, narratively...
His, like, voice cracks.
Like, narratively, like, you can come back. Like, you cross the line, that means you don't get your redemption arc anymore.
Yeah, sorry. Like, everybody else is kind of like a bastard-soaked bastard, but... I don't know. I think there's a, like, you know, so Masako lets, that guy's wife in one of the earlier parts of her mission. Like, that guy's wife Hina is her name. And she, like, literally, like, lets Hina get abducted to use her as bait, and then, of course, that chick gets killed. And it's like, that's fucked up. But we also know that Masako is, like, a basket case, right?
Yeah.
But, like, it's still... Burning somebody at the stake is still just, like, an order of magnitude worse, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the difference between, like, you indirectly got someone killed versus, like, you lit a tied-up guy on fire.
Yeah, like somebody's grandpa. You just lit that guy on fire to intimidate people to opening, like, a castle gate. It's like, oh, that sucks. Sorry, man. You're a dead man.
Also, I mean, like, I'll be honest with you. I think Ryuzo's like reason for betraying Jin was super flimsy narratively. Like,
Yeah.
it's like my men were starving, and it's like they didn't really look like it for one thing, and the other thing is like Jin had food.
Yeah.
We could have gotten you food, and it's like we were on the verge of getting Lord Shimura back, which would have gotten you food.
You would have had plenty of food. I mean, like, it was obvious at that point that Jin was like, he was making it, you know? He was getting by. He was getting into the castle. He was pretty obviously gonna go rescue his uncle. And at that point, once his uncle is rescued, you will get all kinds of food, my man. They will rain burgers and fries down on you and your friends. Eat your hamburgers, Apollo. And it's like, I mean, it's all you had to do is be like, yeah, I will help you break your uncle out, because, like, you know, you run into him at Castle Kaneda, and it's like, it's right there, man. You're just making a bad decision because you're sore that Jin beat you in a duel 6 years ago, or however long it's been.
Yeah. You were fucking kids, probably with, like, wooden swords, you know, and you're still butthurt about that.
It's like, I'm sorry, man. Now I do have to kill you. Boy, Jin puts his ass down, though, right?
Oh my god, right?
Oh, looks him right in the eye and says, goodbye, Ryuzo, and then just, like, guts him like a fish. It's like, oh, fuck.
I will say that, like, Ryuzo betraying Jin did give us, like, 7 really, really cool boss fights.
It's true. That is, like, your rival fight in this game, and it always kicks ass to just fight another guy yours, because Koten-kan is, like, way bigger than you.
Yeah.
So, like, just to fight another guy your size who is, like, your age as well, and so you just have, like, these cool duels, and it's like, yeah, I love a duel. We have multiple Devil May Cry episodes talking about how much I love duels.
It's just, like, I didn't even realize it was, like, a side quest thing at first. I just found this Straw Hat, like, sitting on the beach, and he was like, fight me, Jin, and I'm like, fucking hell yeah, I will, this is dope.
Fuck yeah, I love fighting you, dude. This kicks ass.
The duel like the actual, like, time for a samurai duel where, like, they both stand there and draw their swords.
Yes.
Is so fucking cool.
It's cool. Samurai sword duels are awesome. Like, I mean, again, there's so much in this. I mean, of course, right? Like, samurai movies influence cowboy movies, which influence samurai movies. And so it is just the equivalent of meet me in the town square at high noon.
Yeah.
You know? And that's also awesome. Like, that concept is also extremely raw. So, of course, the samurai version of that as well is like, yes, meet me out in a field as the sun sets and the wind is blowing, and we'll draw our swords and stab each other to death like civilized men.
That first duel with Ryuzo in the castle, in the water with the paper lanterns everywhere, is just the fucking best setting ever. Oh my god.
It's literally, you have a feeling in the back of your head that, like, the whole game was built around set pieces like this, right? Somebody has seen an anime and watched a lot of Kurosawa movies and was like, I want to do this. I want a game that justifies these very dramatic set piece duels in extremely cinematic locations with dramatic lighting and paper lanterns and all that good stuff. Yeah, you have a feeling they were just like, we want this. We want to do a game with this in it. So let's build a whole thing around it. And it's like, oh, I'm so glad you did. It's awesome. I love the fake out with the fake samurai.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite jokes in this game. This game is pretty serious. Like, it doesn't really do, like, jokey joke shit that often. Like, people are kind of sardonic, but, like, they're not funny, you know? So the fake duel with Jinroku, where it does it. Like, it literally, he's like, duel me! And they do, like, all the dramatic camera pans of, like, Jin reaching for his sword, and you're like, oh yeah, you're really gonna fight this guy. And then as soon as his health bar pops up on screen, he's like, JK, I'm kidding, your dick is too big, don't kill me.
It's the best.
It's the best. It's Great joke. A plus.
I also love Kenji's side quests are always the best.
Yes.
I fucking love the guy who was like, no, really, I was trying to help someone. I just had to rip off these other very strong, scary men first.
I like Kenji. Kenji is
great.
He's great. He's on like the affable, just kind of idiot bastard instead of total monster bastard. He's definitely more helpful than Masako just by getting you out of prison that one time. You know?
I also like that Kenji like uses the fact that he's like, I'm a big sake dumbass selling guy, and I rip everyone off. Here's the key, Jin.
I'm out of here, loser. It's so good. It's great.
Everyone, look at me be a fucking dumbass. Jin, I'm breaking you out right now. Go when I make a huge distraction.
Yeah, I don't even, like, fucking Ishikawa wasn't that useful.
No.
Like, where were you, asshole? Oh, you were luring me into Mongol ambushes to see how I would handle that. Thanks.
God, he does that like twice.
He does it like twice, and it sucks both times. And after a certain point, I'm sitting in the back of my head like, can I just recruit Tomoe?
Yeah, right? Like
I really was hoping that's how his fucking, like, if they had kept their stupid morality choice system, I would like to at least be able to choose between, like, Ishikawa and Tomoe.
Yeah.
So that I could choose Tomoe every time.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
She's got a cool fox mask.
She does. I wore that. I stopped wearing the ghost mask and only wore that exclusively.
Because it's cool.
Super
those
cool.
Things look awesome.
It's not only that, because it's the cool fox mask, but it's also the broken fox mask. And
yeah!
that's like an even cooler thing.
That's rad. You want to be like a cool fox spirit. Again, I mean, like, you know, he mentions that, like, foxes are important to, like, you know, when he was born. It's like, yeah, of course wear the badass fox mask. I'm glad you can pet foxes in this game.
Okay, so all the collectibles in this game are great.
No, they're all good.
Honestly, like, getting cool-looking swords, getting your health by just chilling in a hot spring and thinking about how much you want to, like, enjoy some sake when the war's over.
Eat some pears.
Or how much your dad sucked. Or how your dad was cool, except for that one time. Or, like, think about how, like, you really wish you had someone, like, to make out with for a little bit.
Then you get to see Jin's butt, and you're like, yay!
And then you can chase a fox and then pet the fox when you're done.
Which is I mean, frankly, the charms or the Inari, they unlock the charm slots, right?
Yeah, but then you get, like, the Inari charm that you level up as you get the rest of them.
Right. Okay. But you get to pet a fox, and frankly, even if I didn't get a reward for it, I'd just be happy to pet the fox, man. Like, he's my little buddy. He's my buddy. I like petting them.
I really, really like the shrine quests, or the shrine collectibles, where it's like, do this cool platforming puzzle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they're better than, they're kind of equivalent. And I will admit, part of me kind of wishes they did show me more of the map, like an Ubisoft tower, if only because I'm a psycho who loves having her whole map completed. And so I just wish they would unlock more of the map when you got up there, because you got such a good vantage point once you get up to half of those. What was that? Was that you? You don't get attention right now. I'm sorry. Anyways. It's not a gorge if one of my dogs doesn't interrupt us. But yeah, like, they're still better than, like, your standard Ubisoft tower climb, because they look cooler and they're more interesting. And this game is beautiful. I think that's an important thing. Like, the collectibles in this game are just an excuse to go see more pretty shit.
Yeah.
And unlike a lot of other, like, open world games, that pretty shit never really seemed to get old for me.
No, because you see so many, like, cool locations, like, because you get used to the first time, you're like, okay, well, it's, fields and forests and, lake shores and stuff like that. Okay, fine. Then you get to the second one, and it's, like, burnt out for the early part, and it's, like, mud and cloudy skies and smoke. And then you get winter, which is the best.
It's so good. God, there's so many, like, the whole... The forest, when you're going into Act 2, so you go through, like, that forest that opens up into, like, the destroyed rice farm.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that whole shot is so good. Like, that vista going from, like, the beauty of nature to, like, this big ruined vista. I love it. It's just, there's so much good... There's so much smart environment design going on. Just, it feels so crafted. They had so many ideas of just like, this will be a pretty little location. And this will be a pretty little location. It goes back to a thing I talked about with Ocarina of Time. And I think I've talked about it a couple times on this podcast. But like useless space and finding a useless space in a game environment that you really grok with, and you just kind of want to hang out in it. There's not really even a point. There's not a collectible. There might be one nearby, but there are no collectibles. There's no haiku. There's none of that. It's just, this is a neat little area, and you just kind of want to hang out in it, and that feels good. And there's a lot of those in Ghost of Tsushima, where you just kind of like standing around, and you're like, oh, this was really nice. Somebody probably spent a lot of time making sure this looks really pretty.
Okay, but also writing haikus is like one of the best things ever.
Oh,
like it's so
writing haikus is great because you just get these incredibly perfectly angled shots of gorgeous scenery. I like that the game ends with a haiku. I think that was great. I thought that was great to actually have the time, like take the time to do like this very methodical thing of sitting down and. It's not like a high octane like fight me Ryuzo moment. It's like I gotta fight my dad and this is gonna suck. So you're kind of like taking like a quiet emotional moment to sit down and write some haiku about how much this sucks and how hopeless you feel. And I was like, that's awesome. That's such a nice little touch. It's such a little breather moment before the very end. The last words of Clan Sakai.
Yeah, God, it's so good.
That's so great. Even if like the whole reason for it happening is again slightly contrived,
right?
It's fine because in the moment, like when you're in it, and you're just feeling it, man. And
I fucking wasted him in that fight because I had gotten really good at those duels.
Just beat his ass.
I unlocked this. I unlocked all the skills. So I had that skill where you can spend 3
resolve.
Yeah, 3 resolve to just like take out a third of his health bar right away.
Just absolutely grind it down. It's like man.
It's like
if only you were a cool ghost instead of like a lame old man.
I have like charms that like refill my resolve to like crazy amounts if I do damage. And I can spend 3 resolve to do incredible amounts of damage, so,
Whoops, it looks like you've been caught in my, perpetual damage machine. Sorry about that, Uncle Shimura.
Oh, you attacked me? Well, I also had the charm that widens my range for parrying, so I just did more damage to you and opened you straight up.
It's so good. This is just, it's like, oh, yeah, you just own him. It's not even a challenge. You're just beating up an old man because he's an asshole who told you to, throw your girlfriend under the bus again. So, no thanks.
I think that it is cool that, like, obviously the game needed to end, like, on, the samurai duel fight combat,
sure.
right? Obviously.
Of course.
But I do love that the fight with Kotenkan is not. It's just, like, out in the open so that you get access to all of your stuff.
Right, yeah, it's not samurai duel rules. It's like you can do whatever you want. I think there is You do have a duel with him, like, the first stage of, like, that fight. So you also do get your cool, like, boss duel. But then...
You get that, but then when you fight him on the boat, and he's just, like, he's got some guys with him, and I'm just like, alright, well, time to do my normal plan when I get caught, which is to hit everyone with sticky bombs all the time.
And it doesn't even feel like cheesing it, because, like, the whole game is about how Jin is like, no, I'll do whatever it takes to win. So, just lobbing bombs at Khotun Khan and his dudes is like, nah, man, you pushed me to this point. I hope you enjoy exploding all of the time. I would
love to open, like, fights like that. If I couldn't get the challenge, I would just throw 3 kunai, and then take those 3 guys out, because they would be stunned for, like, 3 minutes.
Sure. But yeah, the kunai stun lasts forever.
So great. It's so awesome.
It's so busted.
I loved to do, like, running leaps, and then in midair throw the kunai, because it looks so cool.
Yeah, you're just, at that point, you are just a Naruto ninja. Yeah. Like, congratulations, you have become a Naruto.
Because this combat feels so fucking smooth, and, like, dynamic, and, like, it flows so well, like, yeah, I would, like, play way more aggressively with this than I would any other game.
Sure. Yeah, there's no hanging back. I do wish it had a lock on, though. I'm gonna be real with you. It needs a lock. I kept trying because Devil May Cry brain. You should have been able to click the thumbstick to cycle through targets or something. I don't know what, because, like, every button on that controller is taken up by something.
They had, like, a kind of soft lock on, like, if you angled the camera, it would position to, like, whoever was, like, best framed in the shot, but, like, it's not really reliable. You don't get, like, a little icon that's like, you're fighting this guy right now.
Yeah, so it kind of turns into a cluster, which is maybe kind of the point, like, especially in the beginning, it's supposed to feel kind of chaotic, because you don't really know what you're doing yet, but it also just doesn't feel good, either. It doesn't have, like, it's like the Batman Arkham games where you kind of like you hard magnet toward something that you're fighting.
Yeah,
you know?
It's not, because, like, that and Arkham are kind of like, you're not really supposed to be focusing on one guy. You're supposed to be dealing with the most immediate threat.
Sure.
You know? So it's like...
But sometimes you want to focus on that one guy because he is the most immediate threat.
Because he's the guy with the big hammer, and he's going to keep smacking you and spinning that thing, and you can't block that, even though it has, like, 3 hits in it, and you forget that it takes forever to spin out of it.
It sucks every single time, because you think, oh, I dodged it the one time, so I can attack him now. No, you can't.
No.
What's wrong with you? Why do you keep forgetting this extremely basic fact about this game, Sarah? That's why you keep dying while playing Ghost of Tsushima. That's why Jin is a literal ghost at this point, because you've killed him so many times. Those hammer guys have killed me that many times. Come on.
God, this is clearly one of my games of the year. Like, you know, you would think, like, in a year where 7 Remake comes out, where it's like, this one's a lock-in, but I'm, like, playing Ghost, and just, like, I couldn't put it down. I would play it on my days off. I would probably play it for, like, 10 hours straight. I was obsessed with this game.
It just is so, I don't know. It's that combination of, like, aesthetics and setting, and it feels just good enough to play, but it isn't, like, as techy as, like, a Sekiro or a Dark Soul or a Nioh, you know? So you're not really, like, fighting it, and I'm sure somebody will be like, get good. 1, fuck you. 2, sometimes I just want to play a video game without having to, like, really, really think about it too hard. I want to see neat things and have cool looking fights without those fights necessarily being too hard. Like, I love playing Devil May Cry 5 a lot, obviously, but sometimes you gotta really be in a mood for those kind of games.
Yeah, you gotta, like...
It's like, you gotta be really on the whole time.
You gotta be willing to commit to it. You can't just kind of
settle in.
Yeah, you gotta, like... You know, you don't turn your brain off to play that, but I can chill playing Ghost.
Yeah, even in the middle of, like, big fights, you're still just chilling. You're exploring pretty things, and you're fighting bad guys, and you're a cool samurai who walks up to bandits and says, "Fight me, assholes!" And then you do, and you win, and it feels great. And it has just a good loop, it has that really satisfying gameplay loop of, like, go here, fight some guys, explore some shit, go somewhere else, fight some guys, explore some shit. It's nice.
Yeah, and I am really fucking excited to play that DLC when it comes out. That is probably one of the goddamn coolest, like, DLC things I've ever seen, where it's like, here's our very grounded game where the only minorly supernatural thing is that the wind is your dad's spirit telling you where to go.
Right.
We're just like, here's a bunch of demons, and you're in hell, and team up with you and your buddies to, all four of you can go and fight these things on floating rocks in the middle of nowhere. Sure, sounds great. That sounds exactly what I want. All in.
It's sure. I do hope this game gets some kind of plot DLC.
That would be
I don't know what I don't know what it would be. I guess some kind of post game thing, because this game does have a post game.
Some kind of like smaller map, like, and then Jin went to this island.
Yeah, and there were some douchebag Mongols there too,
and
or,
these Mongols have a new weapon that is not in the base game, so you have to deal with this new type of enemy.
And it's like, okay, that sounds good. Maybe they got, like, I don't know. Maybe it could be more it could be more, like, spooky and supernatural. That's always... That's always...
you get a DLC where, like, you find a bunch of ghosts, and Jin's like, I fucking hate all of this. These stupid ghosts are real.
I can't believe these ghosts are real. This is horse shit. I want to go back to Tsushima.
Or he's just like, it's like he sees a ghost, and Yuna's like, oh my god, Jin, it's a ghost. And he's like, those aren't real.
I'm gonna go fight it to prove you wrong.
Fucking Mulder and Scully with Jin and Yuna.
Oh my god! Kenshi looking at Jin, going, imagine living your whole life looking like that. If you want to know what the future of samurai looks like, it looks just like that guy. He points at Jin.
Jin's doing the thing where he's got his leg on the step.
Or both fists on his hips, staring nobly up in the distance.
That's what I want. That's what I want. I want it to be. Fucking Yuna's like, Jin, that's an Oni. That's just straight up an Oni. And Jin's like, no, that's just a big Mongol with an eye patch. Shut up. Jin, his skin is green. Yeah, he's sick.
He's real sick.
Ghosts aren't real.
Fuck you. I've never fought an Oni in my life. I'm not even gonna entertain the idea of a fucking spirit. Not Jin Sakai. I'm here to fight everything. Jin, you can't fight. Oh my god, he's fighting a ghost. It's just Jin wrestling a bunch of, like, spooky Sadako looking bitches in the mud.
Jin, that's a walking skeleton in front of us. No, he's a skinny guy. I don't believe you.
Great idea.
It's foggy. I can't quite tell.
It's an amazing idea. Please.
Oh my god, I would love that. That's what I need. Sucker Punch, you can take that. That one's free.
Yeah, it's fine. We wouldn't even ask for money for that one. We just want the DLC for free in exchange.
Yeah.
We're so smart.
Just fucking put our podcast logo at the end of the credits for the DLC. That's all you need.
Our cool new podcast logo. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Anything else in your notes, my man?
Nope, that was it. I got through pretty much everything. This is one of the best games I've ever played of the year, probably of ever. It's going to be, like, this DLC might be the thing that pushes it over to be like, this is Game of the Year for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I could totally see that. I am extremely excited to play the DLC. We'll probably talk about it, like, on a roundup when that happens, because we will, for sure, play it.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a lot. It's free, right?
I think
the
so.
Legends is... Oh, that's awesome. Thanks,
I think there's a multiplayer mode that might be the free one, but there's like a more mission-based one that might be like more substantial, so it might cost a bit more. I don't know. Like, I think there's like two packs. Like, there's one that's like, here's you can play with your friends, and there's one that's like, here's all like solid mission stuff. So I don't know. I'll have to rewatch that trailer.
It's fucking wild to me, just as like a final non sequitur. But like, I mean, you're fighting, so, like, you're going into hell and you're fighting demons with your friends. Like, usually multiplayer stuff for single-player games is just, like, we made a multiplayer version using all of these enemies from the base game, because it's easy. But it's like, there are no demons and shit in this game. So they had to make whole new stuff.
Yeah, these are all brand new assets, like whole new environments and stuff. That's super dope. That's like a whole lot of extra work they didn't have to do. Like, it could have just been, you're 4 samurai and you're fighting some Mongols in, like, these new territories.
Yeah, you're doing like a cool last stand thing against, like, some invading force. But no, you're going into hell with your friends. You're making some legends. You're gonna fight some demons. It's gonna be awesome.
It's so cool. It's gonna be great.
Okay.
Alright. I think we're good. Thank you, Brooke, for your use of background music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. And hey, if you want to listen to more adventures of Sara and a bunch of her friends teaming up to fight a bunch of cool monsters and stuff, you can listen to her other podcast.
Hey, that was actually a really good one. I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we try out different tabletop systems. It's a lot of fun. Right now we're playing Masks, A New Generation, a superhero game where you play as young superheroes breaking into the scene for the first time, and it is an unmitigated disaster in the best way possible. We fucked up a mall, we fought some dudes, we got yelled at by older superheroes. It owns. You should come check it out. We're at Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud, and you can find the links to the rest of our social media from there. Thanks!
Alright, that'll do it for us.
The easy answer is fuck Lord Shimura, but I feel like we did that. We said that a lot already, like in the game, like in the main podcast. So like,
fuck the specific guard that shoots your horse.
God, yeah, that guy. You should be allowed to take revenge on that specific guy. I know that Jin is very much like it's war, and sometimes you get shot at by arrows in war. But, like, that guy shot your horse twice. You should be able to track that guy down and take your revenge for Nobu. Or Sora. I know you named him Sora.
I know, I did name him Sora, because
You have Kingdom Hearts brainworms.
Yeah, exactly. That is the ultimate, like, distinction between the two of us, is that you named yours because of fate, and I named mine because of Kingdom Hearts.
What'd you name the second horse?
I can't remember actually now, because I didn't have him for very long, because I beat the game. I didn't do that mission until I had done everything else in the game, and it's like, oh, I get the good horse again. Oh.
Oh, it's not the same. I don't feel the same. I didn't spend 800 hours with you, Kage.
I think that's what I think. I did name Kage. That was it, Kage. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
You're not my beloved Nobu. I don't want to take you on a honeymoon into the countryside. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're a fine horse.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.